As we have discussed earlier, the sole objective of operations research is to develop models. There are various types of models. They are categorized based on similar different kinds of classifications. So the first classification, what we can call is by degree of abstraction. By degree of abstraction means it is by degree of thought. If the abstraction level is very high, it is difficult to develop a model. If the abstraction is very less, then it is easier to develop. That means giving a shape or providing a model becomes easier. Similarly, we have another kind of classification known as based on structure. On based on structure, we have three categories like iconic or physical, analog or schematic, and symbolic models. Iconic or physical model, what it indicates is it is creating an icon or model which is idealized but which is in smaller scale. So those kind of models developed are known as iconic models or physical models. For example, a toy aeroplane which is developed or which will represent here the bigger aeroplane is an iconic model. Similarly, we have analog models or schematic model. This analog or schematic model is a model where we try to test a situation or a problem of different characteristics or different properties and try to apply it to real life situation. So gradually we try to apply different kinds of properties to different kinds of systems. We try to develop models. These kind of models are analog models. Symbolic models are also known as mathematical models, where we use symbols and functions and develop some mathematical equation and try to develop. These are generally we find linear programming problem, those kind of problems we find these models are more applicable. Similarly, we have another classification known as based on the purpose. And based on the purpose, we have two categories, that is descriptive model and prescriptive model. In descriptive model, actually not much of effort is made to find a solution. This model only describes about the various variables involved in the system or that problem or relationship that is being there among those variables. So this model really only describes the situation or problem, but not much of the effort is directed towards finding the solution or optimum solution. Prescriptive model is also known as normative model. This normative model or prescriptive model, as it says, it prescribes a solution, what it should be. That is mentioned to the managers, or that model develops a solution which is ideal or which is closer to ideal. So it prescribes the solution what it to be. Similarly, we have another classification known as by nature of environment. So in based on nature of environment, we have two types of models, deterministic model and probabilistic model. In deterministic model, all the variables are clearly known to the manager, and these are applied to structured problems. So since the manager knows all the variables involved in the problem and what are the possible values that those kind of variables will take, so it is deterministic. As the name itself indicates, it is deterministic. So we know what is clearly the outcome of the particular situation those models will give us. Similarly, probabilistic model is a model where the manager faces a situation of risk. So the manager will have several alternatives available to him and try to assign some kind of probabilities to various kinds of alternative solutions, and the value of their outcomes also depends upon those probabilities which are attached to multiple alternatives. So these are the This is the classification based on nature of environment. And similarly, we have another classification based on behavior of characteristics. So, when a model is static, that means it is not going to change during the time frame of that problem. That means it remains static, it is not going to change. That means that model which is developed perfectly suits during the entire time horizon, so that it is going to give better results. So no need to make any changes in those kind of models. When the period or duration of the problem is lesser, probably these static models will suit better. And then we have dynamic models. Dynamic models are those models which are needed to be changed from time to time, because with the passage of time, new variables may come into the problem or affect the problem. Maybe some variables may leave the problem or problem situation. So in those situations, we need dynamic models which have to be developed. That means they should be kept or keep on changing based on the requirement. So, and we have another model development according to the procedure of solution. Analytical models are similar to mathematical models, and they can be easily solved. When sufficient data is available, analytical models will be helpful for us to arrive at a solution. And apart from this, we have simulation and heuristic. Simulation and heuristic models have been developed after the computers have come into existence, and when they are playing the important role in finding the solution for the problems and aiding the managers to make decisions, or helping the managers to arrive at some kind of solutions. Simulation is something like creating an artificial environment, or generating some variables artificially, or value of variables artificially, and trying to find out some solution. So the managers can have an understanding what are the possible values that the variables can take, so that based on that they try to develop some solution which is known as simulation. And heuristic solutions are those solutions where the managers tries to apply the intuitive models, or they will use their sixth sense or intuition in order. This is all based upon their past experience and knowledge and their education, their experiences. All those things matter, and they develop the models which are known as heuristic models.